Hey, what's up, Heidi? Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this series, we are going to be learning how to create the new social media in town, threads. Yes, so we're going to be learning how to create threads using Flutter for a mobile app. We're going to be using Laravel as our backend service. And while at it, we're also going to be making use of Getex as our state management. Alright, so if you're hyped for this tutorial, please make sure you like, subscribe, and let's just get started. Alright, so with that said, what we want to go ahead and do is we want to start with the API part. As you know, all my tutorials, we start with the API part first. I'm on the Laravel documentation website, official website, I mean. So what we want to go is go to the documentation page. This is right here. So what you want to do is click on your first Laravel project, and you have to make sure you have Composer installed. So if you head over to the Composer website, you go to getcomposer.org. Make sure you download Composer either for your Windows or Linux and Mac. Just make sure you have that installed. So once you've done that, go ahead and copy this particular code. So what we want to do is you want to open up our terminal. I'm going to open up my terminal in this case. Once that is opened, I'm going to, let me just zoom this so we can see it. I'm going to seed it into my documents. So basically where I want to create my project, so you can seed it into anywhere you want, like literally where you want to create a project. Then I'm going to seed it into basically I have a folder called YouTube. Sorry, so let me just, okay, so I have to seed it into development. Like I said, you can seed it into anywhere you want. So this is just my my way of creating my project. So let me just clear this. So what you want to do is paste the code command. I want to go ahead and have threads API. Alright, so while this is creating, let's just wait for this to actually finish up. Beautiful. So our project has been created successfully. So let's basically seed it into Threads API. And once you're there, go to open up this in Visual Studio Code. Okay, while this is opening up in Visual Studio Code, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and run my server, which is my examp. So I'm going to open up my examp. The way I open up my examp is I don't make use of it, so I basically just search for manager OX. I mean, different than your system, I don't know, but these are domain. Okay, so wait for that to load up. So while this one is booting, what we want to do is we want to set our database. Okay, so once this one is loaded, go ahead and start your Apache Web Service or your MySQL database. But so once after this has loaded already, we'll go ahead and open your env. We want to have a database, so we're going to have threads API as our database name. Alright, good. So what we want to do is we have to set our database credentials. So I'm going to go to phpMyAdmin. Okay, so I'm going to click on new. Clicking on new, I can paste this and create my new database, which has been created successfully. Now, after this has been created, what we want to work on, what the registration or authentication part. So you'll notice that Threads doesn't have authentication or login part. All you have to do is just log in with your Instagram. But we are not Meta, so we don't have that. So in our own application, we're going to be having register and login, just like expected. So the first one to do is in our database migrations here. We want to go to the users table. So in this users table here, there's just few things we need to add, which is basically initially just one thing actually. So we can have username unique. So we can have our username to be unique. So we want to pass username. And I think we should also have just have profile picture. So we can have profile parts in this place. Okay, now this is good to go. So we can basically run our migrations now. So after editing that, so let's go ahead and do PHP artisan migrate. So this is going to run our migration successfully for us. Now if you should check your browser, you should be having a database table like this. Okay, superb. All right, so the next we need to do is we have to actually need to edit our users model, because we added new data to our database. So what we want to do is we want to just have username here and also profile path. Okay, beautiful. So once that is done and out of the way, the first thing we want to do is create our authentication controller. So we can go ahead and do php artisan make controller. So what's the name of a controller? I'm going to add it in a auth folder. I'm going to call this authentication controller. All right, beautiful. So open this up. Inside there, let's have a method called index. Right, so we want to have a try and catch block. For this try and catch, we want to throw what exception, the variable of e. So once this is done, we want to make sure we return response from this response. Now you can see I've been writing this, and we actually have set up the API part of this project. So to do that, what we have to do is head over back to Laravel documentation here, and we have to go to packages, which is right here. We have to click on Sanctum. All right, let's find Sanctum. Sanctum is right here. Okay, I don't know why it's taking forever to load. All right, so this has been loaded already. Where we can go ahead is go to installation. Sorry. So I can go ahead and copy this particular command, and all you can do is in our terminal where we have our project, make sure you are inside the project directory. Paste this. We are going to install Laravel Sanctum in our application. All right, so while this is done, you can go ahead and copy this and paste this to publish what is happening. Then we can also go ahead and uncomment this in our kernel.php. So let's go to kernel.php. If you're wondering I'm doing that, all I'm doing is doing Control P or Command P on Mac. So we just need to uncomment this. All right, so once that is done, let's go ahead and run our migration again. We have nothing to migrate actually. So okay, yeah, all right. So it uses the same migration. So yeah, we are good to go. All right, so yeah, we want to go ahead and have something we call message. I want to return what is our error message, get message. I want to make sure the error response is 500. All right, good. So yeah, I just noticed here we have to change this to register actually. Now let's go ahead and create our request. So we can have php artisan make request. So what request are we trying to make? We're trying to make register request. Sorry. Okay, so hold on. I want to check if actually my terminal is showing in the video. Okay, so everything works fine as expected. I wanted to check if everybody's on the same line. So good. Okay, so first I want to do is I want to make this true. So once this is true, we're going to validate the value we are accepting. So the value we want to accept first is the name. So we're going to call this let's say required, and is a string. And the next we need is a username. So the username is also going to be required. It's also going to be a string. Sorry. Then it has to be unique to the user. We have to have unique users. Okay, so this one we just have to change this to email address, or we have to remove, we can leave the string actually. So let's just do email like this. So we have valid email address, but no, let's just remove the string. So since we have email validation already, and the last we need is basically a password. A password we can go ahead and have required. We can go ahead and say minimum of 6 characters. Beautiful. Now authentication controller, so where we have this register here, initially we can just go ahead and pass request. So no, that's not what we want to do. We want to go ahead and pass register request. We are going to use our custom request. Beautiful. So this successfully imported this request at the top. So to try this, we can go ahead and call register request validated. So this is going to validate our request for us. So how do we test it out? Let me just go ahead and run my server in this place. We're going to have PHP artisan serve. Okay, so we are running our server successfully. I'm just going to open up Thunder Client. So Thunder Client is a section in Visual Studio Code that allows you run test API basically on your application. So we're going to close all this. Yeah, I just noticed that we need to set our API path route. We want to have route. Of course, it's going to be post request. We're going to point to register. In the register, we're going to point to a authentication controller class. All right. So what is the method name? Register. So to confirm that the method name is correct, you can always over it, click on control. There you can see that it is highlighted as blue, so you can click inside and it will work. If you are not having that, just make sure you have in your extension, make sure you have PHP this PHP package installed. So I'm just going to search for PHP and make sure you have this particular one installed. Good. Okay, so now let's go back to the API route. So want to access it, you have to go to API/register. Okay, so we want to have our headers correct, authentication. There's no period, there's no authentication because this is a new stuff. And I'm going to over this. So this was what I was testing before. So let's send this request. So we have an error that says connection refused by the server, which is weird. So initially the request wasn't sent. Yes, so yeah, I have the wrong endpoint. So I'm just going to copy this right one here. Just so you know, if I'm making a mistake when I'm typing, I don't have glasses on, so I can at least see very well like this. So let's click send, and we should have our error. You can see name is required, username is required, email is required, and password is required. Beautiful. So with this done, what we can do now is we can basically have user actually, not users. So user create. So this is going to import our model here. Okay, we're going to have name register name. So we are going to have, what do we need again? Username actually, register username. What do we need again? I'm forgetting. Okay, email address, register request, email. What do you need again? We need password. So this password here, we have to hash our password. We're going to import hash, which is this packet here. And once you import that, you have to make it make. So what are we trying to make? A register request, make the password. Basically, you are turning it to hash the password. So once that is done, so we can go ahead and have token is equals to, so token is equals to what? User create. So this is a Sanctum method, create token. So what token are we creating? Let's call it threads. And we can make it a plain text token. And now we can go ahead and return response. So what response are we meant to return? Okay, I return our response that says user. So the user data, return the user data, and we also want to return a token. So our authentication token. Then we can go ahead and have response status code of 201, which is response created. Now that we've done this, we can go back to the endpoint. Now we can go ahead and have a name. Just set our name. We need username. So set your username. You also need email address. So set your email address. Then also we need password. So set your password also. So click on send. You see, okay, we have an error that says profile path doesn't have a default value. Yes, so what we have to do is, I made a mistake, so we can go ahead and run PHP artisan migrate rollback. So we want to cover the changes that we made, or the previous migration that we made. We want to go ahead and open the users table. So initially I was supposed to make this nullable, so basically it can be null on when user creates an account. So nullable. Now let's go ahead and run page practice and migrate again. Alright, superb. So click on send. You see we've created our user successfully, which is beautiful. So we have our token also. So user registration has been done. Now let's go ahead and work on the login registration. So the login registration is almost the same thing, but let's do it ourselves. Alright, so for the login, we have to have another method. So public function login. So of course we have to have our login request also. So we have to go ahead and do php artisan make a request, which is going to be what? Login request. Beautiful. So for this login request, all we need to do is just set this to true, and we need to validate our username. So we want to log in with username instead. So let's go ahead and have username required, that is a string. Then password is also required, and is a minimum of 6 characters. So once this is done, so what we can do is in our login, of course we have to import our login request. Then let's go ahead and pass our try and cache block. So pass our try and cache block, sorry, exception. So here we want to return our response. Okay, so response message, the get message, and here we want to have a response code of 500. Okay, so this is going to be just like register. So we have to login request validated. Okay, so we're going to have login request validated just like we have above. And here we want to log in. Want to check user, so we're going to have user is equals to user where username actually. I'm using a shorthand, so we're going to have where username equals to the username that user passed. We're going to find the first value. Okay, so what we want to do is if the user is not found, or if the user is actually found but the password doesn't match the password he is given, so basically you understand, but the password doesn't match the password he is given, so we're going to request password doesn't match the password from the database, we can go ahead and return our response. So return response. So what response are we trying to return? We're going to say message invalid credentials. Okay, with a status code of, let's say 422. Right, so once this is actually successful, what you can just go ahead and do is copy this particular code. Okay, so we have a user copy that particular code, and we can token, let's just change this to 200 and save. And once that is done, last minute to do is just head over to this place, copy, sorry, so our route, we can copy this, we can just change this to login. Okay, beautiful. So in our endpoint part, so we can test this by clicking send. We have an error that says validated doesn't exist. Okay, so that means we did not spell the validated correctly, so let's delete this. Save. Okay, now click send. We have invalid credentials, so we have value of our credentials is not correct, so let me remove all this. Let's click send. Let's have invalid credentials, so I believe, yeah, so here we have to add exclamation mark, which is not, so we are checking if the password is not correct. So yeah, basically this one is just checking the password is correct, and which is true, but this is not, so you understand. So we want to have if it is not correct, so we are going to click on this, you can see we've successfully logged in. But if I should go ahead and pass a wrong password, like click send, invalid conditions. Alright, so we are done with the login and register. For the next video, we're going to be allowing the user to be able to create a post or maybe a thread. Alright, so if you like this video, please make sure you like, subscribe. See you next time. Peace.